Cadet Kira of Earth. The Galactic Alliance Military Academy orbited in perfect geosynchronous harmony above the neutral world of Pelion Prime, a monument of harmony between species, at least on paper. Inside its polished chrome walls, however, harmony often took a back seat to hierarchy. And at the bottom of that hierarchy stood the lone human cadet, Kira Volkov. She was smaller than the others, barely past 5.5 feet tall, with short-cropped black hair and piercing gray eyes that seemed too calm for someone surrounded by hostility. Among towering Saraki with armored scales and the multi-eyed Vurix with telepathic combat instincts, Kira looked like someone's assistant who had wandered into the wrong simulation. She preferred it that way. Kira kept to herself. She ate alone, trained alone, and spoke only when spoken to. Her fellow cadets called her the silent primate, assuming she didn't understand the complex military strategies or lacked the instincts necessary for war. Occasionally, one of them would throw a mock salute her way. "Don't trip over your oversized weapon, Earthling." She never responded. Behind her silence, however, lay razor-sharp observation. She noted where they kept their backup blades. Who favored reaction over planning? Who panicked when their HUDs flickered? She filed it all away. Every twitch, every weakness. Today's combat simulation had been a simple exercise in squad defense. Kira's team had been tasked with defending a forward outpost on the virtual battlefield. The scenario was designed to test leadership under pressure. Her squad leader, a puffed-up Torquil cadet named Grezin, dismissed her to rear security, essentially parking her out of sight. That was fine. Kira had predicted his ego would override any logic. Sure enough, their defensive grid failed within the first 10 minutes. The attacking squad, a group of Zelnarn bruisers, punched through the front barricade, overwhelming the defenders with brute force. Grezin panicked. His second-in-command tried to retreat, but ran into a crossfire kill zone. By the time Kira moved, it was already over. Except it wasn't. She found herself the last one standing. 3 hostiles still remained, sweeping through the compound to mop up. Instructors watching from the command chamber expected the simulation to end quickly. Instead, Kira vanished into the compound's ventilation shafts. One by one, the attackers dropped. Silent takedowns. No alerts. No unnecessary movement. Just shadows, sudden strikes, and finality. At the end of the simulation, Kira stood alone over the objective. The scoreboard tallied her actions. 7 confirmed incapacitations. 1 team rescue. 0 exposure. 0 alarms. The room was quiet for a long time. "Beginner's luck," one instructor muttered. "A calculated fluke," said another. Only the Empire's representative, General Valekrovix of the Jur Dominion, leaned forward with a dark scowl. He tapped his datapad and reviewed her record again. Volkov. That name stirred something in him, something buried deep in classified files. But no, he reasoned. Earth had only just joined the Alliance a decade ago. No way they'd already embedded spies or assets in the Academy. Still, he marked her for surveillance. Back in the cadet dormitory, Kira stripped off her simulation armor in silence. A holographic banner of the Galactic Academy shimmered above her bunk. Unity through superiority. She smirked slightly. Outside her door, she heard the usual post-sim banter. Most of it centered around her. "Lucky monkey. She's hiding something. She cheats, I'm sure of it. Did you see that score?" They always talked. They never acted. She sat on her bunk and opened a small leather-bound notebook. Paper, not digital. A relic. Inside were sketches of faces, symbols, combat drills, quotes from ancient Terran warfare manuals. At the bottom of one page, in ink so faint it could be missed, was a single line. "Boogeyman Protocol. Stand by." She stared at it for a long time before closing the book. A knock rattled her door. She stood, expression flat, and opened it. 3 cadets blocked the corridor. Saraki, Jur, and Vurix. Big, confident, masking fear with arrogance. "Cadet Volkov," the Saraki rumbled. "We're heading into war games next week. My squad's got a spot. We want you to carry equipment." Kira met his gaze, unblinking. "No," she said simply. No. The Juro barked a laugh. You think you're better than us? I don't think, she said. I calculate. The Vurix narrowed his 6 eyes. Careful, Terran. There are rules here, but accidents happen, especially on the field. Kira smiled. It was not a friendly smile. I'll look forward to it. The door shut. Behind it, Kira exhaled slowly. Her pulse was steady, controlled, but her eyes flicked once to the far wall, where a small silver medallion rested on a hook, an Earth Forces emblem etched with a skull wearing a helmet. To the average viewer, it meant nothing. To those who knew, it was the mark of Boogeyman Protocol Unit 7. Disbanded, buried, denied, but not gone. Never gone. Bait and trigger. The war games were held on Saria 9, a low-gravity, forest-covered moon with a hostile climate and a dense, sensor-jamming atmosphere. Perfect for tactical simulation. Cadets were divided into teams and dropped into opposite ends of the training zone. The mission: capture and hold the central relay tower for 12 continuous minutes. Live combat rules applied. Non-lethal rounds, full survival simulation. Pain included. Kira stood silently in the drop bay of her shuttle, dressed in black adaptive camo. She was assigned to Squad Delta 6, a patchwork of lower-ranking cadets and non-dominants. Humans, insectoids, one aquatic armor-wearing Zari. A throwaway team. The opposing team, Squad Alpha 1, was handpicked. All Empire cadets. Trained together. Equipped better than regulation allowed. Their leader? Kale Dravik, a Juro elite and top performer in every war sim to date. Dravik's orders had been clear before launch. This wasn't just a match. It was a message. The human had embarrassed them during training. She was going to be shown her place. From orbit, General Vale Kravix watched the feed in silence. He didn't authorize the setup, but he allowed it. Let the girl break. Let the myth of the human threat dissolve under pressure. Time to see what kind of predator Earth breeds, he muttered. The simulation began at 0400 hours, local time. Delta 6 hit the ground hard. The moment Kira's boots touched soil, she dropped into a crouch, scanning the tree line. Rain hissed through the leaves. Visibility was down to 20 meters. Her squad bumbled out behind her. No coordination, no formation. Kira's instinct screamed. She activated her visor overlay. Heat signatures. Movement. There, northwest. Too early. Ambush, she said. No one listened. The first EMP mine hit 2 seconds later. Blue pulses exploded across the trees, scrambling comms and shields. 3 Delta cadets were tagged by sim rounds before they hit the dirt. Dravik's team burst from the undergrowth, weapons blazing. The squad scattered. Kira moved in the opposite direction, deeper into the trees. When she came to, minutes later, she was hiding beneath a hollowed-out root system, HUD flickering back online. Her simulated injuries were minor. Her arm tingled from a graze, but her vitals were steady. She tapped into the remaining squad frequencies. Static, but through the distortion, she heard something else. Laughter. Get the monkey already. Where is she? Did she run back to her planet? Then a voice she recognized. Dravik. Volkov, I know you're still breathing. Thought Earth's best and brightest would put up more of a fight. Or was that simulation score a glitch? Silence. Then he added, what's the human word again? The one your people use to scare your hatchlings? Boogeyman? You think you're that? Please. The others laughed. They shouldn't have. That word, Boogeyman, activated something inside her. A memory buried deep. Cold water. A screaming instructor. A blade at her throat. A command phrase whispered through clenched teeth. You are the dark. Her fingers twitched. Her eyes dilated. Breathing slowed. Her heartbeat synced to the old rhythm. Activation level 1. Cognitive override. Kira became still as death. Dravik's team spread out. They thought she was fleeing. They were trained in unit formation, flanking maneuvers, close-quarters combat. But they weren't trained in her warfare. Kira's warfare was asymmetric, silent, psychological, predatory. She started with the perimeter. A Zelnarn cadet, tail coiled around a tree branch, was scanning the fog with thermal optics. He never saw the tripwire. A low-voltage shock hit his nerves and dropped him before he could scream. Kira pulled him into the shadows, stripped his comm unit, and whispered 1. The comm unit activated. On Alpha 1's frequency, static turned into a hiss. 1. Dravik paused. What was that? Static loop? Maybe, someone muttered. She's dead. But the team was watching their flanks now. Exactly what Kira wanted. She hit them again 3 minutes later. A Saraki cadet found a blood trail. Sim paint, not real, but enough to follow. He tracked it to a ravine and fell into it. A low-gravity sinkhole, 10 meters deep. Immobilized. 2. This time, the voice came through 3 helmets. Dravik ordered a regroup. An hour passed. Rain intensified. Their formation broke under pressure. Not from bullets. From fear. No one wanted to be 3. Kira was a ghost. She used their own tech against them. Decoy pings, hacked HUDs, redirected thermal overlays. Her training kicked in completely now. Boogeyman protocol. Level 2, field dominance. Dravik's own men began refusing his orders. This isn't normal, one stammered. She's not playing. It's just a sim, Dravik growled. She's making it real. Dravik punched the cadet in the face, silencing him. He didn't notice the second tripwire, just enough of a charge to blow out his HUD. Blind, Kira watched from 20 meters away, invisible. 3, she whispered. By 0600 hours, Delta 6's dropout rate was 90%. But Alpha 1 status was worse. 7 cadets tagged out. For missing. And Kira? Never hit again. Never seen. She was no longer participating in the simulation. She was rewriting it. Back at the command center, General Kravix watched in growing unease. His staff no longer commented. Instructors stared at their monitors in silence. He tapped his datapad. Volkov, not in active personnel databases. Her Earth file was scrubbed beyond clearance. Black-level encryption. His finger hovered over the override order. But the moment he reached for it, a message flashed on his screen. Observation in progress. Do not interfere. Terran Defense Command. His blood ran cold. At 0700 hours, Kira stepped into the central relay tower. Alone. No resistance. Inside, a single cadet remained Dravik. Bruised, limping but armed. He raised his rifle. She tilted her head. No tricks. No more shadows, he growled. She walked straight toward him. I want to see your face. She stopped 2 feet away. No mask. No tech. Just you. Kira removed her helmet. No anger. No fear. Just calm. You're insane, he whispered. She leaned in, voice low and clear. Humans didn't survive Earth because we were the strongest. We survived because we made fear a weapon. She pressed 2 fingers to his chest plate. Beep. Sim round. Dead. Dravik fell to his knees. 4. The Boogeyman hunts. By 0730 hours, the war games were no longer a game. The feed from Syria, 9 flickered between static, emergency signals, and disjointed helmet cam footage. Instructors at the orbital control station stood in tight, quiet clusters, watching with barely concealed dread as a single name remained on the board. Cadet Kira Volkov, active. Everyone else on the map was either eliminated, incapacitated, or had quit the simulation under duress. Except the last 3 Empire cadets, those still clinging to the false hope that formation training and elite tactics would protect them from something they didn't understand. They were wrong. Cadet Jarn, a tall, 4-armed Vurix, stood at the edge of a dry ridge, trembling. His HUD pinged constantly with motion alerts, false positives, glitches, maybe both. His breathing had accelerated far past normal rates. His heart monitor redlined. Group up, he whispered. We need to regroup. Hold the relay tower. No response. He tapped again. Gress? Brex? Report. Only static answered. Then a whisper, barely audible over the comm. 5. Jarn spun, all 4 arms raised with his weapon locked. Nothing. He activated thermal vision. Still nothing. Then, a heat signature above. He looked up. Too late. Kira dropped from the canopy like a ghost, slammed both boots into his chest, and drove him into the dirt. The impact knocked the wind out of him. He tried to shout, but a rapid jab to the throat silenced him. She stood over him, weapon raised, but didn't fire. Instead, she leaned close, visor now deactivated, so he could see her face, unscarred, clean, human, and utterly cold. "You had the numbers," she said softly. "The tech. The pride." Her fingers pressed his chest. Beep. Sim round. Kill confirmed. 5. She melted back into the shadows. Up in orbit, General Kravix watched the feed in grim silence. Around him, diplomatic observers from other Alliance races were growing restless. This isn't standard behavior for a cadet," said the Krillin ambassador, wringing his 4 slender hands. "She's stalking them. This is predation." The Terran representative, Ambassador Wren, sat with legs crossed and fingers templed. "She's operating within sim parameters," Wren said coolly. "No live rounds. No fatalities. No rules broken. You call this restraint?" Kravix growled. "I call it what you asked for," Wren said, smiling faintly. "A demonstration." The 2 remaining Empire cadets, Brex and Gress, both Jur elites, hunkered down inside the relay tower's outer bunker. The place was fortified with reinforced sim-grade plating, motion sensors, and automated sentry guns. "I told you she was real," Brex whispered, hands shaking as he tried to override the local system lock. "She's just one human," Gress snapped. "She's not a ghost. She's just using jungle tricks." The lights flickered. Brex looked at the console. No power fluctuation. "What?" The sentry gun turned and exploded in a cascade of sparks. Then the door sealed itself with a hiss. "External override activated." "She's inside," Brex said, voice cracking. The air vents hissed. They aimed at the door. Wrong move. She came from below. The floor panel flipped, and a smoke canister rolled in. Panic. Shots fired wildly. Then, a voice over the loudspeaker. "This is the part where you run." By the time the smoke cleared, both cadets were down. Non-lethal takedowns perfectly timed. Kira had hit Gress with a pressure point nerve strike and dropped Brex with a shock baton before either could react. She left them breathing, but marked with red sim tape across their armor. 6. 7. The sim officially ended at 0800. Kira emerged from the tower alone. She was calm, armor scorched, visor cracked, but unharmed. She carried no weapons, only a recovered Imperial comm unit and a data chip from the tower's command relay. The extraction shuttle landed in silence. No instructors, no fanfare, just a blank-faced operator who refused to meet her gaze. Kira climbed aboard without a word. The shuttle lifted off. Back in orbit, the review board stared at the final footage. Kravix turned to Wren. "She humiliated a dozen of our best. She responded to unprovoked aggression with restraint," Wren replied. "She didn't kill anyone. You should be thankful. She terrorized them. You attacked her first. She was activated," Kravix hissed. "You lied about what she was. That wasn't a cadet. That was a weapon." Wren leaned forward. "No, General. That was a warning." Kira sat alone in the debriefing chamber, a glass of water untouched on the table. Across from her stood Admiral Morrow of Earth's Intelligence Division, eyes narrowed. "Assessment," Kira spoke softly. "They rely on tech. Predictable. Egos override caution. No field instincts. Casualties? None. Per protocol. Boogeyman Protocol, Level 2. Kira nodded. Full retention. No blackouts. Memory stable. Psychological state? She looked up. Steady. But they'll be afraid now. Morrow smiled faintly. That's the point. He dropped a new patch on the table. Not cadet rank. Not even special ops. Earth Defense, Black Division, active status reinstated. Kira stared at it for a moment, then slid it back. I'll finish the academy. Morrow raised an eyebrow. You're choosing to stay? Yes, she said. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Fear is most effective when it's earned. He chuckled, spoken like the Boogeyman herself. Back in the Empire's sector, Cadet Dravik lay in a med recovery pod, helmet at his side. His eyes were wide open, but he wasn't seeing the ceiling. He was hearing footsteps, rustling leaves, a whisper in the dark. 7. Fear of the dark. 3 days after the Seria, 9 war games, the Galactic Empire suspended all joint training exercises with Earth. Officially, the reason was doctrinal incompatibility. Unofficially, it was fear. No one said the word aloud, but they all knew it. Volkov, the human, The Boogeyman. On Earth's moon, inside a deep bunker complex beneath the Lunar Academy, Kira sat before a black glass console. Her fingers hovered over the interface as lines of classified data flowed across the screen. Debriefs, psychological reports, Empire communications intercepted and translated. The name Volkov now triggered level 5 security locks in Imperial systems. Her simulation footage had gone viral across internal military networks, dubbed with whispered audio. 7. Kira leaned back. She wasn't proud. Not exactly. This wasn't about glory. It was about message delivery. You read them like a book, said a voice behind her. Admiral Sato, Terran intelligence. Pale eyes, stone expression. They thought they were predators, Kira replied. They've never had to look over their shoulder before. They will now. Sato crossed his arms. That comms unit you recovered from the relay? Encrypted orders from their high command. They were going to use the exercise to test a strike protocol against Earth. Kira's gaze narrowed. Preemptive war? Exploratory incursion, Sato corrected. Their term. Yours is better. She stood. And now? Sato allowed a rare, thin smile. Now their elite cadets request transfers. Their instructors want protocol revisions. Their officers are requesting more intel on Terran shadow doctrines. You did more in 2 hours than our Black Ops did in 5 years. Kira's eyes were unreadable. Fear moves faster than bullets. In Empire space, General Vale Kravix sat alone in his office aboard the Dreadnought Judicator. He replayed the footage again. Kira emerging from smoke. Silent takedowns. Psychological warfare without breaking a single treaty clause. She hadn't just won. She'd hunted. He growled and slammed his fist on the console. The screen shattered. They called her the Boogeyman. But she wasn't a myth. She was trained. She was real. And she belonged to Earth. He turned to his aide. Prepare a new doctrine. What kind, General? Contingency. Terran null response. The aide flinched. That was reserved for extinction-level threats. Kravix didn't blink. Draft it. Now. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Kira stood on the Academy training grounds as a new class of cadets marched across the field. Human cadets. Some whispered when they saw her. Others saluted. She didn't care about either. She cared about the ones who didn't look away. A girl with cybernetic eyes. A boy who moved like he already knew how to kill. A silent one in the back who never flinched, even when the drill sergeant screamed 2 inches from his face. She saw them, and she knew they saw her. In the distance, a young cadet approached. Nervous, barely older than 16. Cadet Volkov. Kira turned. Is it true what they said? The girl asked. That you took down the whole Empire team alone? Kira paused, then nodded once. The cadet swallowed. Are they scared of us now? Kira looked up at the sky, where somewhere above, Empire satellites tracked every Terran fleet. Where leaders planned, watched, recalculated. They're scared of what we might become, she said. And that means they'll try harder next time. But you'll stop them, right? Kira's voice was quiet. Final. No, you will. The cadet blinked. You don't fight fear with soldiers, Kira continued. You fight it with legends. Let them tell stories. Let them dream up monsters. She stepped past her, and then let us become them. In the imperial capital of Valthor Prime, the Empress held a private audience with her war council. Panic bloomed behind closed doors. We must retaliate, one shouted. With what? She didn't break any laws, another snapped. They sent a single cadet, and we lost control of an entire simulation. She's a spy, assassin, a pre-invasion agent. She's a warning. Silence. The Empress, still and cold as ice, finally spoke. We named them lesser. Now we name them threat. Your Majesty? A counselor asked, trembling. Terrans do not conquer by force, the Empress said. They conquer with fear. And fear is more viral than fire. Somewhere far from Earth, in deep space, a Black Ops fleet of the Terran Defense Command sailed silently past the borders of uncharted systems. Aboard one of the lead ships was a sealed pod, empty, save for one thing. A training mask, scorched, labeled, Volkov, Kira, Boogeyman Protocol, active. Beneath it, a quote engraved in steel. Monsters don't hide under the bed. They walk in daylight and smile while they hunt. Epilogue. 1 year later. The Empire never launched the incursion. Instead, they fortified their borders, doubled recon drones near Earth sectors, and began researching psychological warfare training for their own elite cadets. They named the program Shadow Doctrine. Unofficially, they called it Project Boogeyman. They didn't know the real Boogeyman had moved on, because Earth wasn't preparing for war. Earth was preparing for the next fear.